Welcome, Mike Boston.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. So, pretty amazing story, pretty amazing journey. Let's talk about where it all began. Okay, let's go like back in time from how you kind of grew up and what inspired you to have this idea.
So basically, like, I grew up in Roxbury, Massachusetts, and I wanted to be
not a great neighborhood.
No, definitely not. In fact, Northeastern University wanted a separation between what was called now Greater Roxbury and Lower Roxbury because of the crime that was going on over there. And basically over there, I found my first turntable in the trash. I wanted to be a DJ. Because of the fact that I didn't have access to resources, that's why I had to find the turntable in the trash, clean it up, make it nice, presentable, and then like after a while, like recording and like trying to do stuff on a double cassette, ended up meeting my father, my biological father, and being able to go to, Brookline High School. For those that don't know, Brookline High School is a suburb outside of Boston where it's really nice.
Yeah, it's a very upscale, but you live in Roxbury, grew up in Roxbury.
Straddling two different worlds, and that whole concept of like trying to create the proper balance put me in a position where I'm like living a double life pretty much, because one's survival, one is living. My grandmother got to live in a very prominent area, and once I got to, become a part of that life, it was hard to balance it, so I got in trouble. Coming back to Roxbury, got caught up with the gun charge, basically because I was trying to protect myself and protect other young people that were around me. There was a couple of young girls that were in the house. I have a surrogate family. They were Puerto Rican. There's one man that was twice my age was violating. I tried to have a civilized conversation with him. He chased me down the street with the gun. I had to zigzag run. Y'all know about that? Mm-hmm. No? You have to zigzag so they can't shoot you. All right. So yeah, got myself into trouble a little bit. Went to jail, and I couldn't bring my turntables.
So you're in jail. You are an artist. You are used to performing. At this point, you're a DJ. You don't have your turntables. Now what?
So basically, I had to go to the other side of the art form, which is writing and expressing yourself. And being in there, like, inspiring myself, because I want to express myself still. Ended up being surrounded by a bunch of other young people and old. 78 was the oldest guy. And we started this formation of people that were lyricists, 8 of us, and basically started to just do this rap cipher. We were communicating how we felt. There was this one guy that was on Thurozine, and he was like the best rapper, but when he wasn't on Thurozine, no more.
So then you were in jail for 3 years?
Yeah, I had a 3.5-year sentence. I served 2.5, and I got out on parole, and then I joined City Year.
Yeah.
City Year, which is, I don't know if anybody here, does anybody here know what City Year is? Yes or no? City Year is basically it's a nonprofit organization that AmeriCorps was fashioned after. And I joined the Johnson & Johnson Domestic Violence Curriculum Team at City Year, where I, for the first time, realized that, community service wasn't just a judgment handed down by a judge for something you did bad, but it was a way to serve your community. And so doing that, I got to see that there was another side of this reason for being active in your community. So at City Year, ended up serving my volunteer years, my volunteer hours, 1,700 community service hours, just because I wanted to. This was not commissioned by the courts. And I did that successfully, got hired on the national staff, ended up going to South Africa with President Clinton on behalf of President Mandela and starting the Clinton Democracy Fellows at City Year. which was an exchange program where it would be like 12 South Africans would come to the United States, 12 Americans would go to South Africa and get the experience. And from that, it grew into like basically me realizing that national service or serving people was my calling.
So you went from Roxbury to Brookline to jail to City Year to recording music in your car. And so this is a story that's much more about that creativity can come from anybody, anywhere, anytime. So talk a little bit about some of the artists that along your journey that, you talked about the guys teaching them to be lyricists, but there's been artists that you've kind of discovered along the way. Like one is Roscoe. Tell the story of Roscoe.
Roscoe OG, we call him Big Sko Goody. He is a fella that I learned about a while back because he had just come out of the system, and basically he was at this place where I was at. Like, to make a long story short, we recorded a lot of stuff together, positive stuff, all clean material. And he ended up being at this location where there was a young man that was murdered. He was 20 years old. And I brought Mobile Stu over there just basically because I saw that that was a way for young people to get what was inside of them that was bad out, just like they would do in front of, their therapist. And so Roscoe was out there. It was probably about 70 people out there that were hostile. A young man just got killed. Imagine if one of your young people got killed. You would be looking for the person that did that. And that's what was going on. There were so many people there. They were hostile. They were looking at every car. We pulled up with the Mobile Stu. Well, I did. I was by myself. Roscoe got in the car. I said, bro, you like this beat? He said, yeah. I was like, why don't you talk about what you're feeling right now on that beat? And he started recording. I pulled up the mic and everything, set it up. He started recording a song inside of my pickup truck that my dad, by the way, left me. I'm from Boston. He wanted me to put a plow on the front of it to start making money with the snow. Y'all know about the blizzards up there. We just had some snow up there. But it's a two-wheel drive. Can't really put a plow on a two-wheel drive Ford F-150 with a long bed. So I put what I had in there, a microphone, laptop, an interface, some beats that were there were no copyright issues with this music that I'm dealing with. Roscoe got in, he started he started getting what was inside of him that was so negative. He felt so awful about this 20-year-old passing away. And he was pouring his life out on this microphone. And the people outside saw that we were inside of a car recording, and it just the gesture of oh my God, and everyone pointing. Look what they're doing in the car. Next thing I know, there was probably about 100 people around the car, the pickup truck, recording and de-escalating. The police once someone gets murdered in Boston, the police are ever present for at least 48 hours, usually a week straight. But they were driving by with their lights blazing on everyone's face, and then all of a sudden they see us recording and they stop. They don't do that anymore. That's disrespectful. You don't shine no bright light in nobody's face. They recognize that. We ended up recording a track called "I'm the Map," the indicator of where to go. And Roscoe spearheaded it. There was, I said, about 100 people out, probably 120 people. They got included in this song. We did the recording. It was royalty free. Roscoe gets a management deal out of that and gets to move further. And we took on, we got Nas. Anybody know who Nas is? All right, yeah. Scott Storch. They recognized us because of the management deal that he got from Big Ben. Yep. And next thing you know, he has another way to self-employ.
So now let's talk about, about 5 or 6 years ago, you joined Allen and Gerritsen. Tell us about that. Tell us about your job, because now we're progressing in this story of how we're going to take Mobile Stu out to the masses. So talk about, how'd you end up at Allen and Gerritsen?
Okay, so I got to get to the edge of my seat for this. So I just told y'all I did a bid, like I went to jail for protecting myself with the firearm. I didn't shoot nobody. But I felt like I had to protect myself. When I went to jail and came out, it was difficult for me to find a job that was sustainable, having children, having a family. So basically, I had to, I'm not gonna say resort, but I worked at a restaurant. It was on the first floor of the World Trade Center in Boston, the East Building. And I worked there for about 7 years. And after 7 years, there was this new company taking over the floor space of Fidelity Charitable, and they were gone now. And so there's this new company up there. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know what an ad agency was. And I'm in the elevator one Monday, I think. It was rainy. It was cold, it was dark, it was dank, and it stank. And so we get in the elevator, and it's crowded. We're packed in like mackerel. And it's so gloomy, I crack a little joke, and everybody starts laughing. Unbeknownst to myself, there was an HR person from Allen and Gerritsen, the newly acquired company for the World Trade Center on the 7th floor in the building. And they noticed that, and they saw me a couple of other places, but particularly one other place, I'll say the Winter Garden, because I know that was where I was like really, people would see me often. And because I had been a staple to that community, people were very happy to see me. I'm a very happy person. I don't have but despite all the negativity that went on in my life, I'm very happy, and I share that happiness. I'm a minister of joy. They see it again, they are waiting in a restaurant for me, and people are like, hey, Mike, there's some people waiting in the restaurant for you. And there's these 2 white women waiting for me. And I'm scared a little bit because I just came out the joint like 7 years prior. I'm like, yo, they look like probation. So I'm like, yo, they're not here for me. Half hour later, they're still waiting there. I come back out and I'm looking at them like, oh my God, I gotta confront, because I'm in management at that point at the restaurant. All right, hi, I'm Mike. Hey, we're from the 7th floor. We wanna offer you a job. Do you know how to do this? I'm like, yeah. All right. We want to hire you. We want you to be the face of one of the first people that a visitor comes in and sees when they come to the agency. And at that time, they were bringing in the governor. They're bringing in the owner of the Boston Bruins. So to me, it was a big deal. So I'm like, yeah. I get to go from the first floor from one job to the 7th floor to another job. How convenient is that? And that's where it all began. So I'm like, one of my main jobs there was to clean out the refrigerators on Friday. And so I did.
Yeah, but you actually then started to turn your talents into convincing everybody to clean out their crap from the refrigerator before it went back. So let's talk about that. Talk about your way to motivate people with what is called Freestyle Fridge.
Freestyle Fridge. So at Allen and Gerritsen, we have an intern program. And I say we now because I feel a part of it. Before, I was unsure. But I felt we had an intern program. One of the young people that were there were familiar with the fact that I'm an artist. And she basically said to me, Tara, she said, why don't you just write that, because I was writing emails about getting your stuff out the refrigerator, and I knew who the offenders were in the room.
If you're gonna put something in the refrigerator, don't label your name on it.
So I started to write it in a rap, and I started to include people's names. Like, I know that's yours. I know that hummus is yours. And
so
I know that.
Share a few lyrics.
Oh, so hold on. I got some lyrics on deck. Chickens go from so sad to so mad, it's so bad, clucking around a ham like a nomad with no dad. Clean your spoon wisely, fork you and have a knife day. Greens run deep and your Tupperware needs a slight spray.
So so this email would get sent every Friday out to the agency, and at one point our PR team submitted it to Adweek, and Adweek covered it as one of their odds and ends stories. But you captured the attention of one of the creative directors that was working on our client, the Boston Celtics.
Yes. And let me just start by saying I used to want my name to be Michael Boston Celtics because my last name is really Boston. But I wanted to be Michael Boston Celtics. So to get this fella to reach out to me, I don't know him like that. I'm like, I'm living this life in this world called an ad agency. So I start writing for this television commercial that would be potentially aired, and
some other creative folks are also working on it.
Little did I know there were 2 other people competing for that position as far as like getting that slot. And so I ended up writing this. It ends up making it. Not only did they let me write it, but they asked me to do the voiceover.
So we're gonna run the spot right now so everybody can see it.
All right, yes.
Okay.
Check this out.
We go green, we go true, we go strong. We have our mission, a torch needs carrying on. Next gen, clovers in the rough. Are you the next gen? Red with a Cuban, koozie with a steel. Legacy and memories, and now, a new destiny. Green heart, green soul, from blacktop to green hills, young guns, green team. But we run deep, we all run deep. Because green runs deep.
Wow, like a dream.
So again, we keep following your journey. So now you are a copywriter and a producer. And so the agency then runs a program called the Idea Sabbatical. And the Idea Sabbatical, the idea behind it was most people have the dream of starting their own business, but never have the opportunity to do that because of a couple of things: time, money, resources. But we have a program called Dream Manager, and we wanted people to be able to realize their dream. So we opened it up to everybody cross agency in our offices in Boston and Philadelphia, and we got 36 submissions of business ideas. And it's going to go through a process and gets narrowed down, and the one winner is going to get the investment in by the agency into starting up their business. And we kind of knew going into it we may lose somebody as a result of it, but the whole idea was, we invest in lots of different things, and why not invest in our own people? So you are one of the 36 that that submit their idea. And the process, it's pretty varied, but it gets narrowed down to 5 or 6 folks. And you're one of those 5 that now has to make a formal presentation in front of judges that are outside of the agency, and we're going to do it in our Philadelphia office. And Fast Company is going to cover the story here. And it's the day before, and you're not going to. You're starting to not want to do it. Talk about that.
So, to put it in a nutshell, I wasn't going to make it to Philadelphia because I worked one job at Allen & Gerritsen, which was part-time, but I had 3 jobs. My main job was working with young men to keep them out of the streets or interrupt them going to jail for 15 to 20 years. I couldn't take the time off. I was not going to go, and on top of it, my PC laptop crashed and broke the day before. We've been working on this presentation PowerPoint. So my boss at the agency, get your ass over here. You about to get this done and you going to Philadelphia. Like my mama. So I sat down and I'm like, don't you got a meeting to go to? You're always in meetings. And basically she sits me down until we are done with the presentation that we're gonna present at Shark Tank in Philadelphia, which Fast Company was covering at the time. And that led to the NBC with Lester Holt.
Yeah, so Mike becomes the winner of the Idea Sabbatical. And now he gets the resources of the agency behind him. And he's trying to figure out his business, like how we're going to make money. And the money's going to come from making music. And, but more importantly, you really wanted to start a movement. And it was at a time when Black Lives Matter, we were seeing all these videos, and the basic idea was, could we create the first song where we could get the Boston Police tied with the kids, tied with some of your rapper friends, and create a song and send it, and then our resources sort of start to want stories written about it. And so it goes from, as you saw in the case study video, from the local news to the mayor tweeting to Mark Wahlberg participating to NBC Nightly News doing a story, and the Fast Company article runs on Inauguration Day. Mm-hmm. And it's on, basically on the homepage of Fast Company is Obama, Hillary, and Mike Boston. NBC Nightly News sees it. The next day, The Ellen Show calls, and for a couple of months, they're trying to figure out how Ellen can really support this effort. And so we're going to roll the next clip. You saw a little glimpse of it, but you got to watch the whole piece. So Mike, you had talked to The Ellen Show a little bit, but had no idea how this was going to pull it off. And there were only two of us that knew about it, and my job was to get Mike in the right spot. And they kept interviewing him and calling him, and you kept saying to me, God, and he thought it was going to just be on Ellen's website, and he was like, God, they're putting a lot of effort into like a website, digital story. Mm-hmm. So you're totally surprised. You were awarded a new car from Chevy for Mobile Stew, and now so much has happened since then with all this recognition. And just talk a little recognition,
Just getting that, like from the TED Talk, we just did a TED Talk not too long ago, which nobody in my community knows what it is. Rose Off, we got Rose Off, won
the Obama Foundation.
The Obama Foundation with my daughters that were my beta testers for the Mobile Stew. They are 8 and 11 now, but they are awesome. And then now just being selected for an award by Berklee College of Music for Berklee Urban Service Award. Yeah. By the way, I was wearing the Allen and Gerritsen shirt because you see how fresh that shirt was? There was no preemptive strikes on it. I wear it on the regular.
Yeah, you do.
Honestly, I just want to clear that up.
We were very, very lucky on that day. So, you have done an amazing job of with us, teaching us that in your worlds and our worlds and how they collide. And what I love about this story is that creativity can come from anywhere. It does not see race, it does not see gender, it does not see, it is totally neutral. It is about how do you pull the creativity out of people and channel it into a career. And one of the interesting things as we're starting to wrap this up is one of your unlikely collaborators, and I want you to talk really quickly about her, and we're going to bring her up.
Our Senior Vice President of Talent, who is actually also my boss, like the one that told me, sit your ass down, we're about to do this presentation and keynote. She basically spearheaded like all the stuff that I've been doing with Mobile Stew as far as the Women's Leadership Conference, everything, the Black with Blue campaign, and we realized that like she had a microphone that she had to pull out because her voice is golden. And it set the premise for Black with Blue, One Beat for Peace, which is the song that we used as a fundraising tool for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Dorchester and around. So I want to bring, where is she? Where's Juliana?
There she is.
Juliana, come on up here.
Hello, can you hear me? Hi. Hi, guys. Hi.
So just, we're gonna, you guys are gonna show everybody how a song is done.
We're gonna try, yeah.
This has been, we've discovered a talent that was pretty hidden inside of you. I think it shocked yourself as well. But why don't you talk a little bit about the collaboration of lyrics and the story behind behind
Yeah,
that?
you know, thanks for shouting that out, Mike. When we first started working together, I knew how talented he was. And if you think about it, this guy didn't know what an agency was. That should feel like a crime. That should hurt your heart and make you want to go back to your agency and figure out who has that covered talent. And that's what it was for me, too. If you start having more and more conversations about diversity and inclusion, you'll come across this concept of covering. And I was definitely covering. I had a lot of artistic talent. I dance and sing and act, but I wasn't going to tell anybody. I wanted to be taken seriously. And so when we started talking about what could we do to help move a movement forward, we're like, let's make a song and let's collaborate on this. And we started thinking about ways that we could have lyrics that were truly authentic, because we're bringing police and kids together. Can't be corny, it's gotta be real, it's gotta sound good, and it's gotta be really from his experience and his life. So we started talking about lyrics, and I heard some lyrics, and I was like, I think we should sing it a little differently, and I just kind of belted it out. And they're like, can you record that? I was like, absolutely. Where's the microphone?
And you've never done this before.
I had never done that before, and you know, I was moved. Let's just say I was moved, and we have a great song that we've put together, and
Yeah. So you're going to share it right now.
we're going to share a little bit of that with you, if you like.
Yes.
All right.
This is One Beat for Peace.
One Beat.
You can check it out on iTunes, YouTube, HerTube. But this is actually the impetus.
Put your hands up. Clap.
Mix the stew, mix the stew, mix the stew, mix the stew. Mix the stew, mix the stew, mix the stew, mix the stew.
Mix the stew, mix the stew, mix the stew, mix the stew. Come on, come on. Mix the stew, mix the stew, mix the stew, mix the stew. Mix.
Up and down Blue Hill, fulfill the peace. And every divided on every side street. If the night that we are fall and divided we sleep, then let's have a smorgasbord as the night that we beat. Let's have to start with one in this game, man. But officer friendly, he's one of my mains, man. Let's all get in the system, let's all win the game. Cause we all get wet when we out in the rain. We out here now in the big 4A's, talking about how we got out of them graves, getting together and make community save. Most of y'all here is just my people, man. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Black and white, black with blue. Black and white, black with blue. We make color lines shatter.
Shatter, shatter, shatter.
We make color lines shatter.
Shatter,
Come on
shatter,
up.
shatter.
We make color lines shatter.
Shatter, shatter, shatter.
We all matter in the mobile stew.
Diversity of
Thought brings diverse ideas. Finding creativity anywhere and everywhere.
Always try to do the right thing.
Word to mother.
It's simple as helping
others.
Be good to others.
Black and white,
Black with blue, black see you. You see me, make it true.
Black and white, black with blue. Black and white, black with blue. We make color lines shatter. We make color lines shatter. We make color lines shatter. We on the same side in the mobile stew. Mike Boston.
Juliana Abena. Andrew Graff.
Thank you.
CEO of Allen and Gerritsen.
Mr. Graff.
Taking the step to come get out of his comfort zone.
That was amazing. Thank you, Juliana and Mike. That was fantastic. And to Andrew, that was fantastic. And I think you can see why Mike and that charismatic personality, you started working at Allen and Gerritsen. I can't even believe that you had this part-time role and just what you've turned that into. It's really incredibly inspirational. So thank you for being here today and sharing your story with us. And thank you, Andrew, because I think it's a real moment for us to all think about what we can do in our own community and go back to our companies and think about what you can do to really help bring someone along and how they can have a tremendous impact on others. So thank you again.